I would like to go over some concepts involved in accomplishing the first assignment. The first thing you want to do is to take a look at the HTML code. When writing CSS, it is directly related to not only to the HTML elements, but to their organization in the document. So on my left-hand side, I have the starter file open in Adobe brackets. You may use whichever editor you want. On the right-hand side, this is the starter web page in Chrome. Notice we have our HTML5 doc type, our beginning HTML element, our head. The first element in the head section should be the meta character set. The second element should be the title. Now that may change when we get to media queries, but the character set should always come first. This is the HTML5 shim or shiv. Notice that it is laid out inside what are called conditional comments. This essentially provides support for browsers that do not support HTML5 elements. Here I have an embedded style tag. There is my opening style tag and my closing style tag. Then I end my head, and here I have my body section. It is important to make sure that the CSS is located in the proper area, either in the head section, in the embedded style element, or in an external file. You do not want to put a CSS in the body. You also do not want to put HTML in the head section. Even though it looks okay in the browser, the goal is to write technically correct code, and you will lose points if it is not technically correctly written. All right, notice my CSS here. This is my style. There is the selector, the opening curly brace or the opening delimiter, the closing curly brace or the closing delimiter. Notice that when I click on a delimiter, it will generally find the ending one. Most editors will do this. Notice I have every property colon value on a separate line. My syntax is property colon space value, semicolon. You can use whatever style you wish. However, you want to be consistent. It will make editing your code much easier to read. It will also make my job a lot easier also. When you send me code that is all disorganized, you will lose points because it is very hard for me to sort out your mistakes. These are CSS comments. And notice there is an awful lot of CSS going on in the document that you'll be using for this assignment. All right, so let's take a look at the body section. Here we have an aside, and it contains images. Aside is for tangential content. Notice my HTML comment. Notice that in HTML comment, the syntax is different from the CSS comment. So please make sure you use your comments correctly. This block of code is pointing to my icons over here on the right-hand side. They are using fixed positioning. So here again, I do have an ID. And if you go up into the CSS, which is pretty much written in the order in which the page is laid out. There's my social icons. Notice the nice comment. There is my ID selector. We have a fixed positioning going on. So that is how they stay here, as you can see on the right-hand side. All right, back into the HTML. Underneath there, we have our banner section, which is the top section up here that contains the logo and the navigation and the background image. Notice when I click on the opening div, it will show me the matching ending delimiter. This is one way that you can determine whether you have your appropriate closing tags And if you can't find the match, that means there's a mistake. Now inside my outer div, I have my logo. I also have my navigation, and the navigation contains the UL. Notice how I click on things and I can see them. All right, so that's our banner section. Now we come to the outer container. Notice the nice HTML comment. All right, there's my opening div, and I'm actually matching it all the way down at the bottom, and it just so happens that I do have another HTML comment. So everything you see over here in the left, inside this square box, on the right, is my outer container. And it's set at a fixed width, and it's automatically centered in the browser window. All right. So before you start trying to do the assignment, it's a good idea to look at the actual content and examine it and understand it. Now we have some sections. Okay, ID equals standards. Notice there's an H2 and a paragraph. Notice because I'm referring to academic standards, I give it a meaningful ID. And you can see that's on the right-hand side over here. All right, so what we have is we have 6 sections. The academic standards, the courses over here on the right, the transfer, the college campus, the activities. Actually, we have more than an accreditation. Actually, we have another section. This is down here. Popular web development, if you scroll down further, that is also inside a section. Notice that section does have an ID. However, it's a little different. We have an H2, and then we have a div. Inside the divs, we have H3s and Ps. So part of the assignment will be to working with the 6 sections. The other part will be working with this section, the popular web development section. Later on, we also have a heading level, useful URLs, and underneath this, we have our div ID equals URLs, and we have a lot of paragraphs. So if you look, this is where we will be using our multi-column layout to create 2 columns for all of these URLs, so that's more user-friendly.